Tonight on NewsVision, the measles outbreak in the country is growing, and it has now reached Miami. We will tell you which high school has been affected.
Just want to know what that means for my kid. Like, is she safe? What precautions are being taken?
Plus, as spring breakers are headed to Miami, we will take a look at the strict regulations that Miami Beach has implemented to keep the city safe.
There's two sides of it. So for the business, it's not good, but also we feel that it's better for our security.
And later on, we remember beloved student Daniel Bishop on the first anniversary of his death. All this and more on tonight's show, and it starts right now.
Good evening and welcome to NewsVision. I'm Christopher Perez.
And I'm Lauren Harrington. Thank you for joining us. Many Americans have been concerned after a measles outbreak began in Texas in late January.
As of now, according to the Centers for Disease Control, there have been more than 160 reported cases in about 10 states.
One unvaccinated child died from the disease recently. That's the first death caused by measles in the United States since 2015. And now Florida has become one of these affected states.
On Wednesday, Miami Palmetto Senior High School advised parents that one student has tested positive for measles.
Kayla Butter is live at the school to tell us more. Kayla?
Lauren and Chris, one student here at Miami Palmetto Senior High School in Pinecrest has been confirmed for having measles. This is the first reported case in the state of Florida this year. The school has not released any identifying information about the student, including their name, age, or gender, but experts say that there is a 97% chance that the student did not get vaccinated for the measles, mumps, and rubella, or MMR vaccine. I spoke with concerned students and parents here at the school to hear their thoughts on the outbreak. The measles outbreak that started in Texas several weeks ago has now arrived in Florida. One high school student in Miami Palmetto Senior High School has become the first measles case in the state this year. Across at least 10 U.S. states, more than 160 cases of measles have been reported, and one child in Texas has died. Some parents of students at the affected school are concerned about the outbreak.
I just want to know what that means for my kid. Like, is she safe? What precautions are being taken?
But some students at the school do not seem as worried about what the outbreak could mean.
To be honest, too, I don't think it's that big of a deal. I mean, it's one person, but it does spread quick, so I think it could be a big thing if it's not taken care of.
When a measles case is detected at a school, common public health recommendations are that students who are not vaccinated should stay home for up to 21 days, which is the period of time someone could get infected and spread the virus further. Symptoms for the measles start with a fever, cough, runny nose, and red and watery eyes, followed a few days later with a red rash that starts at the hairline and moves down to the rest of the body.
Really only the unvaccinated that are at risk.
Doctors across the country say that for those who are not yet vaccinated, getting the MMR immunization even a couple of days after being exposed to the virus could decrease the chance of being sick, and if anything, will limit the severity of symptoms if infected. The school is hosting a free MMR immunization drive over the next couple of days for unvaccinated students with parental consent. From Miami Palmetto Senior High School, Kayla Butter, UMTV.
Thank you, Kayla. According to the CDC, 96% of the reported measles cases affect unvaccinated people. This comes as the new Secretary of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who has previously questioned vaccine safety, now urges parents to vaccinate their children to prevent further outbreaks. RFK Jr. said in a statement to Fox News, all parents should consult with their healthcare providers to understand their options to get the MMR vaccine. The decision to vaccinate is a personal one. Vaccines not only protect individual children from measles, but also contribute to community immunity, protecting those who are unable to be vaccinated due to medical reasons. Kennedy has a history of anti-vaccine comments. He has previously said no vaccine is safe and effective, and has previously tied vaccines to a rise in autism. Studies have shown the measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine is safe and effective.
This is Coast to Coast, bringing you coverage from across the United States. I'm Shane McDonald.
And I'm Ariel Weil. Earlier today, the U.S. House of Representatives voted to censure Democratic Representative Al Green, who disrupted President Trump's address to Congress on Tuesday.
Now, censure is not a punishment, nor does it restrict the actions on the representative, but it is a formal condemnation on the Congress member's behavior.
Green was removed from the chamber after refusing to sit down per House Speaker Johnson's request.
Take your seat, sir. Take your seat. Finding that members continue to engage in willful and concerted disruption of proper decorum, the chair now directs the Sergeant-at-Arms to restore order. Remove this gentleman from the chamber.
This was Trump's first address to Congress in his second term as president. 10 Democrats skipped on the event, and others also interrupted the speech and held up posters.
These disturbances in part drew the speech to over 90 minutes, making it one of the longest presidential addresses to Congress in U.S. history.
During the speech, Trump addressed legislation changes during the first month of his presidency. Trump's first congressional address of his second term as president focused on economic issues facing Americans and his future plans for the market's growth. Still, he made sure to pin the current economic state of the country on the previous administration.
As you know, we inherited from the last administration an economic catastrophe and an inflation nightmare.
This comes as the president announced the implementation of large tariffs on Canada, Mexico, and China on items such as steel, aluminum, and energy.
April 2nd, reciprocal tariffs kick in, and whatever they tariff us, other countries, we will tariff them. That's reciprocal, back and forth. Whatever they tax us, we will tax them.
The administration has stated in part that these tariffs put pressure on countries to monitor the illegal smuggling of drugs like fentanyl into the U.S. But Trump is facing backlash as some now argue that the tariffs will instead increase inflation by raising import prices. After speaking with big U.S. car manufacturers, Trump delayed the tariffs on Canada by 30 days. And this morning he did the same with Mexico after discussions with Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum.
Trump said the tariff delay is out of respect to Mexico's president. And on a social media platform, Truth Social, he congratulated the relationship between the U.S. and Mexico. He wrote, quote, "I did this as an accommodation out of respect for President Sheinbaum. Our relationship has been a very good one, and we are working hard together on the border, both in terms of stopping illegal aliens from entering the United States and likewise stopping fentanyl. Thank you to President Sheinbaum for your hard work and cooperation." In his address to Congress, Trump also spoke about his immigration policies and the administration's crackdown on illegal migrants, as well as his desire to move away from, quote, woke policies from the previous administration. This congressional address comes after Trump's intense conversation with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy last Friday.
President Zelenskyy was invited to the White House to discuss America's aid to Ukraine in support of his country's war against Russia. However, Trump Vice President J.D. Vance and Zelensky's conversation in front of cameras became very heated.
You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now.
Trump and Vance publicly cracked down on Zelensky's leadership during the conversation, as Trump put the pressure on Zelenskyy to make concessions for a peace deal.
No position can dictate that. Remember this.
There was just a certain sense of, there was a lack of respect, there was a certain sense of entitlement.
After the meeting, White House officials confirmed Trump's decision to pause aid to Ukraine. In the past 3 years, the U.S. has provided Ukraine with over $180 billion in assistance, including most of its advanced weapons. Analysts say that the decision to pause aid to Ukraine could cause lasting devastation and could last until Kyiv commits to peace talks.
Yesterday, President Zelenskyy says he wants to make amends with President Trump and work towards negotiations.
Trump announced he has received a letter from Zelenskyy saying that Ukraine is not only open to negotiations, but has also agreed to a minerals deal.
Now Trump says he is also having conversations with Russia and said, quote, "If you want to end wars, you have to work with both sides." It is unclear when Trump and Zelenskyy might meet again.
Now that's all the time we have for you today on Coast to Coast. Back to you.
Thank you, Shay and Ariel. The University of Miami has received a grade A ranking from the Anti-Defamation League, or ADL. This is a private organization working to limit bias and anti-Semitism in the United States. The league gives each college campus a grade based on their safety for Jewish students and inclusion. Some of these requirements include having a student organization supporting Israel. The new student organization called Students Supporting Israel at the University of Miami was part of why UM received this grade A ranking. And for one of the organization's first events, the members held a vigil to honor the lives of the Israeli hostages who were murdered by Hamas. I got a chance to attend the event. Cameron Newman, former president of Students Supporting Israel at the University of Miami, has been closely following the war in the Middle East since Hamas attacked Israel on October 7, 2023. Like millions around the world, he has been appalled by the violence.
It's unparalleled in human history, the cruelty we're seeing, and the Jewish people are up for the challenge, and the West is up for the challenge. It's not going to go on. And the message of everyone being here is that we understand that. And to support the Bibas family and the greater people of Israel, that's the reason we're here.
The Bibas family, Shiri, her husband Yarden, and their two young sons, Ahriel and Kfir, were taken hostage from kibbutz near Oz. Yarden was held separately and later released, but Shiri and the children were killed in captivity. The family was among more than 250 Israeli hostages taken by Hamas militants on October 7th, when they attacked Israel, killing some 1,200 people, which resulted in Israel retaliating. To honor the lives of murdered hostages, students at UM held a vigil on campus, one of many in recent months, all of them peaceful.
It feels good to be able to have an event with this, especially without any backlash. My friends at other schools around the country, top schools, Ivy League, other private institutions, this isn't the case. They can't have a peaceful gathering.
Students held a moment of silence as the names of the dead hostages were read out loud.
I had a lot of friends, family friends overseas, and after October 7th, some of their friends have died. I was in Israel last summer. I was a block from the Houthi missile strike, so that was a little nerve-wracking. Someone died just a block away. And I decided to join the Israeli Defense Force. I'm joining next year because of this. So yeah, it's changed like the course of my life, I guess.
For Newman, events like this are his hope for the future.
This is America. Jews and non-Jews standing together against the radical forces that want to drive us apart and drive the country down. This right here is America, and this will not change. The desire for peace and the strong will towards a better future.
Students at the University of Miami are at risk of losing the ability to hold similar student activist events, such as this vigil, because of new restrictions by President Trump. Trump announced the federal government will pull funds for U.S. schools that allow what he is calling illegal protests. This announcement comes one day after the Trump administration said it will evaluate the ongoing protests against Israeli students at Columbia University. The president has not specified what is considered an illegal protest under the new orders, but this is part of new federal orders impacting restrictions on free speech, compliance with Title IX changes, management of financial aid, and civil rights policies.
Tuesday marked the one-year anniversary of the death of a beloved UM student. Senior Daniel Bishop was hit by a car while riding a scooter near campus. Several of the student organizations that Daniel was a part of held private memorial events to celebrate his legacy. Among them, President's 100, It's on Us, Hurricane Productions, Breakthrough Miami, and Hillel. Students also left flowers and decorations at the new bench dedicated in honor of Bishop's legacy outside the Richter Library.
We will take a short break now, but coming up, we will take you live to Miami Beach for a look at the new rules that the city has imposed to keep residents and tourists safe this spring break season. Details in just a minute.